Can Monokuma actually work in PvE? Welcome back to the channel, guys. This will be the last video for this week, and today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. We already know that Monokuma can be a pretty viable job for PvP. It has good range, good movement, fast skill rotation, and a lot of utility. The biggest problem is still the lack of raw firepower. But that brings me to today's question. What about PvE? Can we actually use Monokuma to clear dungeons and farm PvE content? Or is this job simply better suited for PvP? So let's break down how I think Monokuma can work in PvE. The biggest signature of Monokuma is obviously its fire element damage. And normally, having a fixed element can be a disadvantage because the enemy can counter it. But in PvE, we can actually use the elemental system to our advantage. If we know what element the monster has, we can build around that weakness. For Monokuma, the first thing I would look at is how we can maximize the fire damage itself. One way is through burn. If we can consistently apply burn to the target, we're not only dealing our normal fire damage, but we're also taking advantage of mechanics that interact with the enemy's burning status. And that becomes especially interesting when we're fighting monsters where fire is already a favorable element. The second way is to manipulate the enemy's element. For example, if we can change the monster into an element that is weaker against fire, our damage can increase significantly. This is where some premium cards and elemental manipulation options can become useful. Cards such as Miner or Medusa can be part of that strategy depending on the actual dungeon and monster we're fighting. The basic idea is very simple. Don't just look at Monokuma's raw damage. Look at the entire setup. What element is the monster? Can we make that element more favorable? Can we apply burn? Can we increase our fire damage? And can we take advantage of Monokuma's very fast skill rotation and long range? Once you start looking at it this way, Monokuma becomes much more interesting for PvE. Because we're not trying to turn Monokuma into the strongest PvE DPS in the game. We're trying to make the job work around what it already does well. And what Monokuma does well is attack frequently from a distance while applying pressure. So let's actually take it into some dungeons and see how far we can push it. Where Monokuma fits in PvE. For older and more familiar dungeons, I think Monokuma is actually quite manageable. Things like Oracle, Ponape Museum, and similar older PvE content can still be cleared using Monokuma, especially when the elemental setup is favorable. You're probably not going to see the same huge numbers that you would get from a dedicated PvE main DPS, but that's not really the point. Monokuma can still contribute consistent damage while staying at a very safe range. For newer and more difficult dungeons, however, it's a different story. The lack of burst damage becomes much more noticeable. When the monster has a huge amount of HP and you need to kill it quickly, Monokuma can struggle compared with jobs that are specifically designed to deliver massive PvE damage. So personally, I wouldn't recommend building Monokuma purely as your main PvE damage dealer. I think its better role is somewhere in between. You can use Monokuma as a secondary damage dealer and utility character. For example, you can focus on applying burn, manipulating the enemy's element when possible, and continuously attacking from range. That means even if Monokuma isn't topping the damage chart, it can still contribute something useful to the party. And honestly, that's what makes this job interesting. It's not necessarily about asking, can Monokuma become the strongest PvE DPS? I don't think that's the right question. The better question is, can Monokuma contribute enough damage and utility to make it useful in PvE? And based on my testing so far, I would say yes. For older content, definitely manageable. For newer content, it depends heavily on the dungeon, the monster's element, and how optimized your build is. So in this video, you can see exactly how I use Monokuma to clear the dungeon and how the damage performs in an actual PvE situation. If you guys have other ideas, builds, or combinations that you think could make Monokuma better for PvE, let me know in the comments. I'm also still testing this job, so maybe there are some interactions that I haven't discovered yet. That's all for this week's video. Thank you guys for always staying tuned and supporting the channel. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next week in another video. Take care.